She had only one meal left, just enough to get her through the long night and feed her little daughter when she got home. Then, outside a quiet diner, she saw an old homeless man sitting alone in the cold. She knew giving him her food meant going hungry herself. What she didn't know was that this simple act of kindness would change her life by the next morning. Before we begin, subscribe to Kindness Library, like this video, and leave a comment telling us what you would have done in her situation. Your support helps us share more stories about kindness, courage, and second chances. It was nearly 9 o'clock on a freezing Tuesday night in Chicago when Maria Torres pulled her delivery car into the parking lot of a small diner. She had been working since early morning, rushing from one delivery to another while trying to earn enough money to pay her rent and buy groceries for her 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Maria was a single mother. Every dollar mattered. Her phone showed one final delivery. After that, she would go home. She stepped inside the diner to pick up the order and noticed an old man sitting alone near the window. His coat was thin, his shoes were worn, and his hands were shaking from the cold. Maria looked away at first. She was exhausted. She was hungry. Inside her delivery bag was the last meal she had bought for herself, a simple chicken sandwich and fries. Then the old man quietly whispered to the waitress, "Ma'am, do you have anything left from the kitchen?" "I haven't eaten today." The waitress shook her head. Maria froze. She looked at the food in her bag. Then she thought about Lily waiting at home. For a few seconds, she stood there fighting with herself. Finally, she walked over. "Sir," she said gently, "please take this." The old man looked at the meal. "No, sweetheart. You need it." Maria smiled. "I'll be okay. You look like you need it more than I do." She handed him the food and walked away before he could argue. Outside, the cold wind hit her face. Her stomach growled. She had no money left for another meal. But she kept walking toward her car. Before she drove away, she looked through the window. The old man was eating slowly, with tears in his eyes. Maria smiled and whispered, "God bless you." She had no idea he was watching her license plate. The next morning, Maria arrived at the delivery company at 7:30. Her boss, Richard, was already waiting. Richard was known for treating drivers badly. He shouted when deliveries were late, docked pay for tiny mistakes, and threatened workers who complained. Maria walked into the office. "Richard, I wanted to ask about my paycheck," she said. "You deducted almost $200 last week." Richard slammed a folder onto the desk. "You should be happy you still have a job." Maria stared at him. "I worked every shift." "I don't care," Richard snapped. "Sign this warning or leave." Maria's eyes filled with tears. She needed the job. She needed the money. So she reached for the paper. Then the office doors suddenly opened. Everyone turned. The old man from the diner walked inside. But he was no longer wearing his torn coat. He wore a dark suit, polished shoes, and a watch that looked more expensive than Maria's entire car. Richard immediately stood up. "Mr. Bennett?" Maria stared at him. The old man looked directly at her. "Good morning, Maria." She was speechless. Richard's face turned pale. Mr. Bennett was the owner of the delivery company's parent corporation. He had spent months secretly investigating how employees were treated by local managers. The night before, he had been testing the company's response to vulnerable people in the community. He had never expected to meet Maria. "I saw what you did," Mr. Bennett said. Richard nervously stepped forward. "Sir, I can explain." Mr. Bennett raised his hand. "I'm not talking about the food." Richard stopped. "I'm talking about how you treat people when you think nobody important is watching." Maria looked confused. Mr. Bennett placed a folder on the desk. Inside were complaints from employees, records of unfair deductions, and reports about Richard's behavior. "I gave this office enough chances," he said. "Effective today, Richard is no longer managing this location." The room went silent. Maria could hardly believe it. Then Mr. Bennet turned toward her. "You gave your last meal to a stranger when you had almost nothing yourself." He smiled. "I want you to know something. Kindness like yours has value." He offered Maria a promotion to customer service supervisor, with better pay and flexible hours so she could spend more time with her daughter. Maria covered her mouth, trying not to cry. She remembered the night before, when she had given away the only meal she had. She never expected anything in return. That was the point. As she left the office, Mr. Bennet stopped her. "Maria, you helped me remember something." "What?" He smiled. "Money tells you what someone owns. Kindness tells you who someone is." Maria went home that evening with groceries, a full tank of gas, and a new job. But the greatest gift was waiting at home. Lily ran into her mother's arms. "Mommy, why are you crying?" Maria hugged her tightly. "Because sometimes," she whispered, "doing the right thing brings a blessing you never expected." And from that day forward, Maria taught Lily the lesson she had learned on the coldest night of her life. Kindness does not require wealth. It does not require perfect timing. Sometimes kindness means giving when you have almost nothing left. You may never know who is watching. You may never see the reward. But one small act can change another person's life, and sometimes it can change your own. So if you see someone struggling, don't assume someone else will help. If you have something to give, give it with a sincere heart. Because the meal Maria gave away that night was worth far more than a sandwich. It became proof that kindness still matters.